Let's start with installing Node.js, Jet CLI, and everything. So, okay, what do we need? We need to have Node environment. I would not be talking about it like how do we actually install Node.js here. Fine. So you need to start with this document, Oracle Jet command line interface. Just Google for it and you should be able to get to this link. Your npm should be running. So I'm having 6.13. You should have the same or something above it. If not, just Google how do you install it. Once you've done that, you need to install npm install g at Oracle this one. Sometimes you might also need sudo. If you're using Mac or Linux, you do that. So once that has been installed, this command should pretty much run. Or ojet is running. So I've created a directory ojet where all my files are already there. And let me start with altogether a new blank project. This is the only command that you should know. There are just 3 commands in Jet that you should know: ojet create, ojet build, ojet serve. This we will be using at different phases, but more than that, I don't think you need anything else to remember at this stage. We will create a site this time, say my site 5, because I already created 3 and 4, so let me create 5. And there are various templates that are available. Let us go by default nav drawer. Like as I said, there are a couple of other options you could try, but let us start with something simple. Nav drawer, hit enter. Within a couple of minutes, it should start creating everything for you. While this takes some time to create, let me open a new tab and show some other project. Now you have to know that there are 2 main folders, src and web. The question is, both will have a similar structure. Let me show the structure here. If you look at the src and web, both of them seem to have almost same structure. They have css, they have js, they have images, and if you expand js, you have view and you have view model. If you expand js, you have view and view model. So as a beginner, the biggest mistake that you can make is go and make changes here, see the changes, start the server, and everything goes off because jet CLI override this folder every time. So let me start showing by what you should not do so that it becomes clear. Okay, now our app has been created. So we'll go to the directory cd my site file. The first command that we need to hit is ojet. Okay, the first command that we'll hit is ojet build. Build is very important command. Every time you add a new file to src directory, you need to build. But for time being, you can just ignore. Then you tell ojet serve. Was my server running somewhere? Oh god. Since my port 8080 was already running, I have an issue with that. Let me stop the server. Control C. Okay. Go back to my source code. Widget serve. That's okay. I mean, I don't try to run it in different places. So we have pretty much our application running. Now the next thing that we need to do is open this in an editor to make changes. File close folder in your VS Code. Okay. File add folder to workspace. We just created my site 5, so let me start with this one. You open the terminal. Let me stop the server that is running outside by pressing Ctrl C. So we will not use this terminal going forward. We will use the terminal that comes with Visual Studio. So all is fine. So we do the same thing, ojet build and ojet serve, but let us start with ojet serve. Our application is there. Now if I want to change the dashboard page, I would be tempted to go to this under web folder. You have views, view model and views. View model will have all the JavaScript files and view will have all HTML files, and they both will have same name. Okay, let me start with dashboard. I would just go and modify. Mother was here. See, I refresh this page, I can see Madhu was here. For a while, I think this is the best way to go about. I keep on making my changes, I keep on adding my files, and then tomorrow I will come back and then I will run OJet build and OJet start, and then I will see everything is gone. So let me demonstrate that. Let me stop this server, Control C, and do OJet build, OJet serve. You see, this has got changed. Whatever changes that I made, that simply got overwritten. So the lesson here, what not to do is make changes under web folder. You should never ever make changes to web folder. You should always make changes to SRC folder. If you're adding a JSON file or a JavaScript file or anything, you add it to under SRC folder, and when you run build, it will automatically copy to web folder. So let us do it right way this time. Making changes in SRC folder. Fine. I can immediately see the changes it reflected. If you observe, I did not even refresh. It refreshed it on its own. Now what happens if I stop server by pressing Ctrl C, build this, and serve it again. You see our changes are still there. In fact, it might have happened that it might have copied in web folder. See, I made changes in SRC folder and I'm seeing it here. So the most important lesson one is anything you want to add or any changes you want to make it in JS folder, not in, sorry, make in SRC folder, not in web folder. So now how do we add a page? I want to have a new page here. Expand the JS folder, app controller.js. This is the most important thing. Just copy it under nav data. You just copy it. Maybe I will make say chart. I will just give the name chart. I could change this icon to something else, but let me have the same icon. This is one change I need to make. This is the other change that I want to make under self.router. Remember, this chart is small, the label is capital, starts with capital, and this points to this ID. Okay. With this, I have a chart here, but nothing really happens. I mean, if I look at the console, this is mobile view. It in fact, like it says, it doesn't find anything for chart under JS. It's like a HTML not found. Okay. So the next best thing that we need to do is open the view and create chart.html. Remember, it is not charts, there is no s, it is just chart. So in HTML, I will just say here you go. I've not even written a single line of code in JS file, but that's okay. Our HTML is still good enough. But then there is some skeleton code that it's always good to copy and keep it handy. So I'm just copying it from about, putting it in chart. Remove all that is not wanted. It generates a lot of code that we might not need it immediately. This, since it is a chart.js, you rename about to chart and chart view model. This is our content area. Starts here. Main code ends here. So whatever code that you see in cookbooks and all, right? So that particular code has to be written here. So in the next exercise, we are going to see how to create our first jet chart. So for time being, our application is up, and watch the next video.